Real refugees are people in Western Europe who live in a multicultural society where, for instance, Muslim immigrants have become the majority.
Hungary is already seen by more and more West Europeans as a place of refuge, a place to get away from the hell that's about to break loose in Western Europe.
Ashtalom, a remote village in the southern Hungarian plains. Abandoned small holdings, testimony to an increasingly urbanised world. The village is 2 hours from Budapest, but just minutes from the Serbian border. The mayor here wants to attract new investors to bolster the declining population.
I think these empty houses need inhabitants. We're very happy when Hungarian families move into them, but we're also happy if Western Europeans settle here. I think security may be the most important attraction for them, as Ashtalom is one of the safest places to live in Europe.
Local estate agents are hoping foreigners take heed.
So how much would this be?
9 to 10,000 pounds in total,
Cheap.
including 2 hectares of land. Cheap.
But all is not as it seems. This village doesn't want just anyone. It only wants white Europeans.
We primarily welcome people from Western Europe, people who wouldn't like to live in a multicultural society. We wouldn't like to attract Muslim people in the village, even though we already have a few Muslim residents in Ashtalom. But it's very important for the village to preserve its traditions. If large numbers of Muslims arrived here, they would not be able to integrate into the Christian community in Ashtalom. We can see large Muslim communities in Western Europe that haven't been able to integrate, and we don't want to have the same experience here.
So, because the bylaws you've got in the village, I think Western Christians would feel uncomfortable with. Why do you feel those bylaws are so important?
Simply because we're defending our own traditions.
What if I was black, or what if I was gay? How would you feel about that?
Ashtalom has a bylaw that bans homosexual propaganda. We adopted it a few weeks ago. As for your other question, think about this. Europe is small. It can't take in billions of people from Africa and South Asia, where there's a population boom. This would soon lead to the disappearance of Europe. I'd like Europe to belong to Europeans, Asia to belong to Asians, and Africa to Africans. Simple as that.
He's so serious, he's introduced local legislation banning public displays of affection by gay people, the wearing of Islamic dress like the hijab, and he wants to ban the building of mosques. And his views are being pushed by a British organisation called Knights Templar International.
You can clearly see from their imagery, they're really harking back to the Crusades, when the official Knights Templar, an offshoot of the Catholic Church, fought Muslim armies for control of Jerusalem.
This organisation has no official links to the Catholic Church, but they claim they're a Christian and non-racist group. However, their anti-Muslim and anti-gay views are clear. The former leader of the British National Party, Nick Griffin, is a member, as is the former BNP treasurer, Jim Dawson. This website is advertising small holdings for sale in Ashtalom.
Hungary is already seen by more and more West Europeans as a place of refuge, a place to get away from the hell that's about to break loose in Western Europe. At the moment, Hungary is seen by the nationalists, by the patriots, by people who agree with the fence. Those people are looking at Hungary thinking, thank God for Hungary, thank God that there's someone standing up, and when it all goes terribly wrong in the West, we'll move to Hungary. Now those are the kind of people that Hungary needs.
We're pretty confident that this is the building where Knights Templar International are registered in Budapest. Certainly, pictures on their blogs, websites correspond to this building. Let's see if there's anyone at home. Hello, we're looking for Jim Dawson. Jim Dawson. Knights Templar International. Hello? Oh, I think they've left me.
We got into the building but couldn't find anyone from Knights Templar International. We asked them for an interview. They haven't responded. Nick Griffin declined.
Tulajdonképpen nincsen kapcsolatunk, és főleg nem hivatalos kapcsolatunk.
We don't have an official relationship. I've been contacted by Jim Dawson, and he came to Ashall a few times as a private individual, just to have a look. Nick Griffin also came with him. I heard it from journalists that the possibility to move to Ashall has been advertised abroad. I haven't seen any of the adverts. Still, I must say, we're very happy to welcome people from England.
The refugee crisis has contributed to the anti-immigrant sentiment sweeping Europe, like the rise of the French Front National and the Dutch Party for Freedom. Hungary is no exception.
This is the Serbian border. It's just a few miles from the village, and it's where, at the height of the migrant crisis in 2015, as many as 10,000 people a day crossed into Hungary. Opposition politicians think the mayor capitalised on the anxiety about the influx of people to introduce bylaws of questionable legality.
It's possible that with this bylaw, the mayor has looked ahead. Even though the danger of Muslims wanting to build a mosque doesn't exist at the moment, he's already preparing for the future. It was really scary to see masses of migrants walking through the village. I spent a lot of time at home alone with my young kids. There were times when I was scared.
Many lawyers think the mayor's bylaws contravene the Hungarian constitution, and as part of a general review of new local legislation, the government will rule on them next week.
There are two Muslims in Ashall. One of them agreed to speak to us, but at the last minute pulled out. They didn't want to attract attention to themselves.
They've spoken of their fears to Hungarian media in the past, but other villagers reject the laws are a huge concern. However, they are the talk of the village pub.
The Muslim family that lives here are fully integrated with us. They don't provoke anyone. They don't wear the niqab, they don't harass people. Their young son plays football. I taught him to swim. We get on with them just fine.
There are gay people living in the village. They're absolutely fine. We meet them, we speak to them. How they live their lives at home is none of our business. We're all humans. We live together, that's it. Important issues like this should be regulated by the national government, not local legislation.
There's a problem with Muslims and their hijabs. They don't behave like Hungarians. If they take off their veil, I'll accept them. It doesn't even matter if they are black. They should become Hungarian citizens, even if they are Muslims or whatever.
Kissing him, thank you.
The mayor of Ashall wants his village to be the vanguard in what he calls the war against Muslim culture. He's employed round-the-clock border patrols, which he thinks will appeal to European settlers. We couldn't find anyone who's come to the village as a result of Knights Templar International. But there are foreigners here. Jonathan came here from England over 4 years ago and is worried.
I'm a little saddened by it. I mean, I had a Christian upbringing myself, and some of the ideas he's saying, I personally wouldn't class as Christian ideas. And the idea that kind of one group of people is better than the other, I would disagree with that. And I know there was a lot of fear perpetrated about the migrants coming over and causing a lot of property damage and stealing things, but personally I've got little experience of that.
What do you think about Nick Griffin, the former BNP leader in the UK, also pushing homesteads in this village?
Well, I've recently just read some of Nick Griffin's previous comments about him moving to Eastern Europe and setting up almost like an enclave or a refugee kind of centre for people who coming from the UK. And having lived in areas of Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire where the BNP were quite prevalent, I would actually strongly be against that happening here.
Most villagers dismiss the idea of British extremists coming over here to farm. They think it's laughable. But one man isn't laughing, he's deadly serious. So serious, he answered our last question in English.
Are you trying to create a white kind of supremacist village?
Nem, I didn't use this word white, but because we are a white European Christian population, we want to stay this, like this. So, if we would be black, we wanted be stay black village, but this is a fact. We want to preserve this fact.